How's it going, people? I hope you're having a damn great day. Welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we'll be discussing Olympique Lyon and their tactics going forward with the relatively new man that they have brought in. I think they brought him in December of last year, 2023. And to be honest, it was one of the worst seasons in recent history that Lyon have had. They were sitting in the bottom three or close to it. They were losing game in, game out, and this man, Pierre Sarge, has managed to find stability, select a set of players, whether it's, 11 to 15 different players, and he's managed to rotate them very well, as well as the really good January recruitments. Players like Said Benrahma coming in, Gift Orban, a fantastic young talent, the likes of Oriel Mangala from Nottingham Forest, as well as Matic. Matic has largely been an underrated factor to the success of this team, helping create a platform for the offense in the midfield to try and build off of. So he has been an absolute sensation and a revelation to the side. So we'll be discussing the 4-3-3 Olympique Lyon tactics under new man Pierre Sarge. If you guys don't mind smashing that like button down below, subscribing if you are new. We do tend to create tactics videos like this on the channel on a daily basis. So if you don't mind showing some support for the channel, that would be absolutely fantastic by subscribing and liking the video. And yeah, if you would like to as well rate the tactics out of 10, we tend to do this at the end of every video. I give my rating of the various different tactics. You guys can do the same in the comment section, as well as maybe leaving another comment or two. Anyways, let's hop on straight into the goddamn video. Taking a look at the formation now, I've selected a 4-3-3 holding, and the only major change I have made is I've dropped the DM ever so slightly further deeper. Now, essentially, this will naturally allow the likes of Matic to drop between the two centre-backs, allowing him to collect the ball off of the goalkeeper or maybe one of the centre-backs. It also provides a very sturdy platform for the midfield to build up off of, as well as generating the offense and making sure that the midfield as a whole is ticking over. So essentially, it would be one goalkeeper, two centre-backs, two full-backs, one DM, two central midfielders, one striker, and then, of course, two wingers. So taking a look at the tactics. Now, the tactical vision that I've set is wing play. I think this reflects a very accurate Pierre Sarge system, more so trying to flood players into those wider channels, allowing for a great interchange between the wingers and the fullbacks, as well as the number 8s. Of course, this could be a Kekere, it could be a Mangala. They do tend to interchange a lot of passes in those wider areas, trying to stretch the opposition. But more so when the fullbacks bomb on forward and they, get high up the field, take up those more naturally wider areas, it allows for the wingers to tuck in and almost be inside forwards, allowing them to, be a bit more of an attacking threat more centrally in certain moments. As for the defense and the defensive style, I've set it to pressure on heavy touch. They do tend to press. They will, if the opportunity is there, they will aggressively press the opposition, but more so, and this might just be because Pierre Sarge is somewhat new to the job, but it's more so about the structure, making sure it's very hard to play through, making sure that the opposition can't dictate the pace of play. So if the opportunity is there, maybe it's a misplaced pass or a heavy touch, the front line as well as the midfield will try and latch onto that and will try and apply pressure to the situation at hand, looking to try and win the ball back and turn it into an offensive opportunity. As for the team width, now I've set this to 60. They do tend to flare out a fair amount and create those man-v-man type situations, more so because the likes of Matic does tend to drop into the back line, somewhat creating a back five system. You do want your fullbacks to be in those wider areas, trying to prevent crosses and all that good stuff. So I do think that a 60 team width tends to replicate this and reflect this very well in FC24. As for the depth, now I've set this to 55. It allows for a good mid-block to be set in play. It also prevents any mishaps from happening, maybe a quick through ball or a quick counter-attack over the top ball for one of the on-running strikers from the opposition. It can prevent this as it minimizes the space between the goalkeeper and the back line. And you don't have that much recovery pace in the back line, so you need to be very wary of that, especially up against a team like a PSG who have an Mbappe, a Kolo Muani, and so on. You want to try and minimize their threats in behind. As for the offense, the build-up play I've selected is slow build-up. They do tend to build up very effectively from back to front, and they do tend to create these little triangle passages of play, if not even diamond passages of play with 4 players, interchanging passes, looking to create that pass and move rotational type system, and they do this very, very well. As well as with the build-up play being set to slow build-up, it allows for the centre-backs to show for the ball. It will also allow for the likes of Matic to drop a bit deeper, drop in that little pocket of space that we spoke about earlier, and collect the ball off of the goalkeeper as well. As for the chance creation, I've set this to balance. Now, this will allow for the team to maintain the 4-3-3 structure, making sure that they can also supply those supportive runs for the offense when building up the play from back to front. If it's a run in behind or trying to push the midfield further forward, they can also look to do this very effectively. In terms of the width, I've set this to 90. Like I say, you want to try and stretch the opposition as much as possible, trying to get them into those wide areas, open up a lot of space more centrally for the likes of a Lacazette, a Kakare, a Mangala, a Tolisso, if need be. They do tend to also break into the box and flood that attacking area very effectively. And speaking of which, players in the box, I've set that to 8. I've seen a consistent outlet of 4 to 5 players being in and around the box. I've set it to 4 because you don't want to overcommit too many players. And at the same time, with the players in the box being set to 4, it can also allow for your fullbacks to also get into the box, which we have seen a few times so far under the managerial reign of Pierre Sarge. He does want his fullbacks somewhat attacking the back post area, and I do think that 4 allows them to do this very effectively. As for the corners and the free kicks, as always, it is set to 4. So my dudes, we're going to take a look at the instructions at hand, starting off at the back with Lopez. He is set to a balanced approach for the saving outside of the box, as well as balanced yet again for saving on crosses. For both situations, he tends to allow the backline to try and deal with the situation at hand, but if needed, if required, he can also fulfill the role himself, whether it's being very aggressive with claiming the crosses when they are whipped into the box, or from a corner kick or whatnot, or potentially when it comes to a ball being whipped in over the top, trying to exploit your defensive line. He can look to be very aggressive, very assertive, make that run off of his more safer, natural line, and win the ball back and circulate it back into possession. As for your 2 backline players, in terms of your 2 centre-backs, both O'Brien and Kaleta Carr, they are both set to their base set of instructions. In terms of your fullbacks, Tagliafico, as well as Mata, or it could even be Ainsley Maitland-Niles as well, both are set to the same set of instructions. Both will be told to join the attack, overlap, and of course, stick to position. This encourages them to bomb forward, overlap the wingers, allow for the wingers to drift inside a bit more, and like I said earlier, become a bit more of an inside inverted forward. As you'll see here for the likes of a Mata as the right back, he is set to join the attack, overlap, and of course stick to position. Now, entering the midfield fray, Matic is arguably the most important player in this side, in this system being successful. So for the defensive behavior, I've left it on balanced. It allows for him to maintain the more central DM role. It also allows for the likes of a Kekere, a Tolisso, or whoever you have in those positions to cover the wider areas. You don't need Matic doing this. His role, his job is to maintain the central areas just in front of the back 4. As for the attacking support, he is set to stay back while attacking, as well as the interceptions is set to conservative. Of course, Matic is getting up there in age and he doesn't have the maneuverability as what he once did. So you don't really want to require him being too aggressive, being too assertive, and more or less breaking the structure of the team. It's all about structure with the side. As for the positioning freedom, it is set to deep lying playmaker. And this paired with the fact that he is also instructed to stay back while attacking, as well as the more natural DM position being set slightly deeper, it allows for him to almost drop in between the back line at times, which is a very effective role that Matic does in real life. In terms of the defensive positioning, we did mention this, but he is set to cover the center, not really looking to drift out wide or covering the fullbacks. Like I said earlier, that is left up to the 2 number 8s, which are both set to the base set of instructions. No major changes for either or. You would more or less want and require and expect them to be that box-to-box player, sometimes breaking into the box, other times on the edge of the area, rotating play, or even popping off shots of their own from outside of the opposition's box. The interceptions is set to normal. And of course, you want them to cover the wing. Of course, more naturally, Matic is covering the center, so you want them to try and help facilitate a defensive awareness in those wider areas of the field. And then again, more naturally, the positioning freedom is set to stick to position. You don't want them drifting all over the place or having that free roaming role. Stay central, allow for the interchanging of passes, and every now and then you do tend to see them slightly drift out wide, helping support, helping add an extra passing option to the likes of a bombing on fullback or one of your wingers. As you'll see here for the likes of a Corton Tolisso, he has got the same role and instructions as well. So taking a look at your 2 wingers, both are instructed to have the same instructions, so keep that in mind, and both will be told to come back on defense. Now this tends to lead to quite a few ball recoveries in those wider areas because you have your fullback, you have your number 8, you have your winger all dropping a bit deeper into those wider pockets of space, preventing the crosses, winning the ball back, and looking to transition into the attack. As for the chance creation, I've set this to a balanced width. Now, this allows for when the fullback does bomb on, it can push the wider player, the winger, into that little half space, allowing for them to be more naturally an inverted forward. But at the same time, if the fullback doesn't bomb on, you can allow for your winger to more naturally take up that wider space and create from those wider areas. In terms of the support runs, I've set it to a balanced approach now. This can allow for them to use their speed to try and break in behind and penetrate the opposition's backline, or potentially come a bit shorter, interchange passes with the midfield, and maybe pull other players out of position. I have seen countless times where, or not countless times, but quite a few times of late, the likes of Ben Rama, who naturally starts on the left-hand side. He's a bit more central, interchanging with the likes of a Numa and a Kakare in the box, and more so that this allows for you to do this very effectively. And speaking of, in the box, both wingers will be instructed to get into the box more times than not, adding an extra element of the offensive outlets in that attacking area. And then finally, the interceptions is set to normal. As you'll see here for the likes of Numa, same role and instructions, just like with the left wing. Okay, now, the man of the hour, the man who's leading the team in goals, I'm pretty sure he is. He's got like 13 or 14 goals so far this season. A fantastic season, and really has reignited his career since returning to Lyon. But Alexandre Lacazette, his role and instructions going forward is set to stay central and be a false 9, as well as normal interceptions and then a balanced defensive support. More naturally, Lacazette tends to drop a bit deeper, interchange with the midfield, and often pick up the ball at a deeper rate and drive at the opposition, either looking to create or penetrate the opposition's backline whilst carrying the ball forward. More naturally, he can drift ever so slightly, but with it set to a balanced approach, he tends to drift too much, and I don't overly like that, and I don't think it's a really realistic or reflective set of instructions to give him, because yes, Lacazette does tend to drift, but it's not as much as what the game tends to allow him to do when it's set to a balanced approach. But yes, those are the instructions for Lacazette to replicate a realistic role for the key number 9. And there you have it, people. That is how I would replicate a PS Sarge Olympique Lyon set of tactics in FC24. As always, if you guys don't mind hitting the like button down below, subscribing, and doing all that good jazz. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the rating out of 10. I would give this whole system a 7. I think it's a very solid system. It's a very compact unit at times. I like the Matic role. I like the Lacazette dropping a bit deeper. But there is something missing, and I can't really put my finger on it, because you do tend to score quite a few goals. You do tend to keep the clean sheet. So why is it not a higher rated system? It can be a little bit clunky at times. And often I think with Lacazette dropping very deep, there is a focal point in the box at times, yes, but just sometimes he's not there. And that's very annoying to me. So it's my personal feeling and rating that I would give the system a 7. You guys can let me know, though, down below in the comment section. As well as, I hope you guys have a damn great day. I'm out.